Welcome back to Nick Landis Comic Corner Classic that's known classics. This is episode number 1385 and Doubleshot's number 1379. I have two Captain America trades. The first one is a finale pretty much my final trade, the cover for Rick Remender's run for Captain America. Yep, the very last one. And the most recent trade for the most recent run for the series. Yep. First up, we have the finale of Rick Remender's run, Captain America Volume 5, The Tomorrow Soldier. This book collects the last 4 issues of Captain America Volume 7. Yep, the last 4 issues, 22 to 25. Yep. Now, this storyline in and of itself is basically a follow-up to the very first story arc of this run, Castaway in Dimension Z, where Artem Zola is back. Now, prior to this, in the Iron Nail storyline, Jet Black met the Red Skull. As you can see, he's here on the cover. Now, those of you who have read Ed Brubaker's run, mostly in the Captain America Reborn miniseries, at the very end of it, Red Skull died. Then, who's this guy? Is this guy an imposter? No, not really. It's explained in Candy Avengers. This is technically not the original Johann Smith, the one who made his debut back in Captain America Comics number 3. This is his clone. Yes, this is the clone of Johann Smith. Where, you see, the thing with this guy is, he was actually cloned back in 1941. And also, he did not get that special chemical on his face, which turns his face to the actual mask he normally wears. So he basically is still wearing the classic mask. And he also has memories of everything that's happened to him up until recently. Yes, this is a clone created by Artem Zola. Yes. And this story arc itself takes place not long after the events of the previous story arc, The Iron Nail, which had Captain America turn old. Yep, turn him old. And this is a big epic finale for this particular volume before it gets relaunched. Yep. In the storyline, the first time we see Jet Black, she is waking up in bed with Sam Wilson. Why in the world would she be with Sam Wilson? Well, it's very implied Rick Remender tried to start a sexual relationship between Sam Wilson and Jet Black. Now, Jet Black, look at her, she's not a teenager. Nope, so this is perfectly fine. From looking for her, she's presumably, I'd say, in her mid-20s, I'd say. She looks like she's about, appearance-wise, she looks like she's about the same age as Spider-Man, per se. Smoking hot woman. Yep. And it was hinted at that she started developing an attraction to Falcon after she met him. And eventually, of course, then, while she sees what's going on outside, yeah, Artem Zola's back, and he's brought his mutants. They hinted at this at the end of the very first story, that he wanted to take his mutates from Dimension Z and conquer Manhattan. Which he tries to. And he unleashes his Avengers, which is simply his evil Avengers, basically clone copies of the actual group, actual Avengers. Steve Rogers, of course, has spent the first portion of the storyline in bed. You see, he was turned old after the events of the previous story arc. Also, it's somewhat confirmed here, even though that there's no follow-up to it at all, Iron Nail and Dr. Mindbubble, two great villains introduced in the Loose Nuke storyline, are dead. Yep. Yeah, apparently they're confirmed to be dead, even though they don't really confirm they actually really died. Nope, let's just have them stay dead, despite the fact we never saw a freaking body. They're dead. So, and most of the storyline is simply the Avengers taking on the mutates. Mostly put, the Avengers that are here are just Iron Man, Thor, and the Hulk. Which is interesting. I like the fact the Hulk is here. Now you're probably thinking, why is Hulk with the Avengers? Well, that's thanks to Jonathan Hickman. Yes, Jonathan Hickman was responsible for that. He brought the Hulk back to the Avengers, well, on the main roster, for the first time since the 1960s, though he did technically rejoin the team during the events of Avengers vs. X-Men, during the latter half of the actual event, and he became a regular player in that particular book, while also appearing in Secret Avengers and his own solo title. Yep, so mutates are here, Hulk goes on a rampage. Oh, when Iron Man turns Bruce Banner's Hulk, slapping him, and Banner's like, You don't have to do that. I have full control over him. Well, in case you're curious, though, of how in the world that is, that's thanks to Mark Waid doing that. Yep, Mark Waid is responsible for having Bruce Banner having control over the Hulk. Yep, we got to thank Mark Waid for that. So a little bit of a nod to that. Though there's no editors note here. It says, "Oh yeah, that happened in Indestructible Hulk." So that be it, the mutates they take on the Un-Avengers, and then toward the end of the storyline, about halfway through, they break into this. They have Sam Wilson and I think it's supposed to be Thor. I think it is breaks into the tower, and they find Sharon Carter. Yep, Sharon Carter is alive. Despite the fact she apparently died at the end of the first story arc. Well, she was stranded per se, but like in the case with Johnny Storm, they never saw her body. So it's, yeah, she's alive, and she raised Ian to basically be her son. And of course, Steve is basically reunited with his son after he decided to attack the Avengers Mansion. Yep. Oh, by the way, the outfit he wears here, yeah, there's this golden outfit he wears in the storyline. He actually keeps it. Yeah, he keeps it, right? Mm-hmm. And by the way, here are the Un-Avengers. Yes, that is what Armzilla calls these guys. Oh, if you're curious, though, what in the world that Ian looks like, well, this is what it looks like from the back, and that's his outfit he wears. Yeah, that's his regular outfit he wears. I think some chemical stuff that he basically has got, that's how he's able to survive. So, I like how Carlos Pacheco draws Mary Hill, like, wow, she's like so smoking hot, like, damn, it's even like, makes it like, damn. Despite the fact this woman usually written not being a nice person, she's a very hot woman. And yeah, and also see that apparently Nick Fury Jr. is picked up his father's old habit of smoking cigars. Yep. Yeah, I appreciate Remender for doing that. So yeah. And here it is. Not Avengers Tower, but you see Sam Wilson in bed with Jet Black. Yeah, apparently they got drunk and they had sex. Yep. He's like, oh no, we did. And he's got no problem. That's when basically Armzilla shows up. Yep. Oh yeah, and we have something with a bit of a crossover here. Basically, we see a crossover with Candy Avengers by seeing Johann Schmidt and his S-Men. Now, you're probably thinking, Nick, who the heck are the S-Men? Well, they're a group of brainwashed mutants who work for the Red Skull. One of these mutants, I believe it's the Blue Girl, she's actually the daughter of Avalanche. Yep, Avalanche's daughter. And in the lead up to Axis, which happens in the pages of Candy Avengers and Magneto, they all got killed. Yeah, I think Magneto killed them all. Yep. Johann Schmidt himself, basically, if you want to read what happened to that, you gotta read Magneto, basically. Yeah, Magneto basically got mad. He had a fight with Johann Schmidt, and he basically crushed his head with a boulder, and then that turned into a freaking red onslaught. Yeah, that happened in the pages of Candy Avengers. So of course, the rest go like, oh, yeah, how my blessing go wild. Yep. Oh, yeah, and I will appreciate, though, that the outfits basically they're wearing at this point. Like, if you were reading comics at this point in 2014, you're probably thinking, okay, when did Tony Stark get that armor? That was from Kieran Gillian's run. As in the case of Thor's attire, well, if you read the Jason Aaron run, he's sleeveless per se, but this is the outfit that was introduced in the JMS run. Yep. He would occasionally switch back between the sleeves, so, and that's when Ian attacks the Avengers, though it's mostly just basically to prove that, yep, he's on their side. Yep. Jetpack Coast comes to action. Like, it's great to see the whole be a bunch of monsters in Manhattan. It's, like, so awesome. Mm-hmm. And then we have Un-Avengers, Unassemble. Yeah, this weird group of clones. Yep, and at the end of issue 23, that's when they find out that Sharon's alive. Though she's old. Well, they don't show it until she gets out of the tower. So, lots of fighting, and eventually by the end of part 3 of the storyline, well, we have the bomb that apparently that Armzilla wanted to use Manhattan. Of course, Sam goes up to the atmosphere and unleashes it outside the atmosphere. And of course, you think Sam's dead, but nope, he's alive and well. Zola basically says, "Oh yeah, you're always a Zola to him." Basically, he forgives her for betraying him. Yeah, and then of course we had the big letdown here. Yep, it's revealed by Sharon that apparently Jet Black had been working with Zola all along because she doesn't trust her. Steve and Sam snap with her, but Steve, I guess the reason why, because he basically has been with her all this time. Sam because he's sexual relation with her. And then she's like, screw this, basically, and she goes back to her father because apparently, well, the thing lied to her, and of course, Ian, of course, tries to stop her, then she gets stopped. Well, he gets stopped by her. She goes back with her father, and before I continue what happens next, that's the last time you see Jet Black. Why? Because since this issue was released back in 2014, she has never appeared ever again. It has been almost 7 years since this character's last appearance. And when RM Zola returned, like, I think it was about a couple years later, it was in Amazing Spider-Man volume, I believe this was volume 4, number 25, a very unpopular run. Yeah, that was his next appearance. 2 years later. Yeah, it took this guy 2 years to finally return as a lead into Secret Empire. And appearing sporadically in Secret Empire. Then he popped up a few other books. His most recent book was actually the pages of Marvels. Yeah, that was almost the Marvels. That was his, when it was a miniseries. That was his most recent appearance. And also appearing in the Juggernaut miniseries. And that's it for RM Zola. He has appeared a few times in the Steve Rogers Captain America title. But aside from that, no, he's done very little since his Remender wrapped up the story. Yes. As in the case of the Avengers themselves, they disappear. They're never seen again after this storyline. Yeah, do they die? No, not really. They just go off back to Dimension Z with RM Zola, never to be seen again. As in the case of Dimension Z, it will make one more appearance after this in one issue of Captain America Steve Rogers. Issue 14, that's the last you see of Dimension Z. Yep. Now, going on to, like, the book 1 week later, everybody's gathering to figure out who's going to be a new Captain America. And it's Sam Wilson, a great looking costume. And he's like, y'all knew it was me, right? No drama. And of course, then he ends with saying, Avengers Assemble. And then we cut to an epilogue. Castle Hydra, we see like a formation. We have hints of stuff basically set to come here. Well, mostly put, it's supposedly a lead-in into the all-new Captain America series. And we have a story from Marvel's 7th Anniversary Specials back in 2014, actually. Yeah, it's a Stan Lee story called Foils, the Tree of Revenge. It's basically kind of like a story set in the Golden Age. The story is by Bruce Timm. Yeah, but it's an absolute great classic story. Oh, I give the story a 10 out of 10. This one, anyways. Yeah, they say this takes place... So basically, the 2-page story that Stan Lee first wrote, basically, is just expansion of that, which is great. I love it. It's great, though. The fact they took a 2-page story and adapted it to a short story, which is fantastic. Yep. Final thoughts on... Well, I give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. Now, my final thoughts on this particular run for Rick Remender as the writer of Captain America. Like, if you read the issues, it felt as though, basically, the Dimension Z moved along a pretty good pace up until you get to the finale for the storyline. It almost kind of felt as though the story was originally meant to be 2 issues longer than it was. Like, initially, like, I think Rick Remender was planning to have this event last for 12 issues instead of 10. He probably had to shorten it because his editor probably told him to hurry up with the storyline because, and this is my personal theory on the matter, I think the editor was getting scared of the sales figures. Like, they need to get out of Dimension Z, you want something else. Okay, fine. And then we have Loose Nuke storyline. An absolute great storyline. Didn't feel rushed at all. Dimension Z felt a little bit rushed to the very end. Loose Nuke and Iron Nail felt 2 really good stories. Spread over the course of 11 issues, which really good. Then we have that finale tomorrow, man. That I kind of felt this though was really good. I kind of felt this though maybe, like if you read the whole run, I kind of felt this though that maybe Remender was planning to have the run less. This run volume was a little bit long in 25 issues, but he had the rush because Secret Wars coming. He had to do something really big, so he did this storyline, which was really good. And then of course you have the all new Captain America series, which apparently when Sam Wilson became Captain America, apparently he was so overexposed. Not only he had the all new Captain America series, which by the way was 6 issues, you also had all new Captain America for him, while appearing in Avengers, Uncanny Avengers, all new Invaders, and Captain America Mighty Avengers. Yep, paired all these 6 comic books over the course of about 5 months. Yeah. While appearing part of that storyline with Spider-Man's crossover with the Inhumans, which dealt with Red Raven, which is an interesting storyline. And of course, basically, then of course you have the Hail Hydra stuff, which is kind of in a way an epilogue to Rick Remender's run, but basically you can kind of say the finale is basically the all-new Captain America stuff. I will eventually review Hail Hydra at some point, especially this is a really good miniseries, and it's also the final and the most last no appearance of Ian Rogers. Yeah, that's when that's the next thing he showed up in. After that, hasn't appeared since then. It's been 6 years since he last appeared, and he has not returned. Yes. This is one thing I don't like how basically Marvel treated basically stuff that Rick Remender either created or started. They just shove the characters aside and just do nothing with them. I mean, Dimension Z at least made a couple appearances since Rick Remender left. Oh yeah, in case you're curious though, how long did Sam Wilson stay being Captain America? About 3 years. Yep. The only reason why it stopped because of Secret Empire. Because also apparently somebody at Marvel didn't like the fact there were 2 Captain Americas. So, yeah, in case you're curious though, the 3 big things basically when you finish Rick Remender's run that happened by turning Steve and Sharon old and making Sam Wilson Captain America, this didn't last very long. Sam, of course, being Captain America for 3 years, Steve being old for about 2 years before he gets re-aged in Standoff. And as the case of Sharon, it happened in this very storyline, which the next book, which I'll talk about in a minute. But, yeah, almost anything else this guy has established, like, for example, the clones of Phantom X, the female Phantom X and the evil Phantom X. Yes, it appears as though they appear briefly in the very next volume for Kenny X-Force. And that's it for them. They don't really appear ever again. It's almost like nobody cares at Marvel about Rick Remender characters. They do care about doing a complete collection of his work. Yep. But as to utilize any characters or anything he created, nope. Like, keeping Sam Wilson as Captain America, I thought it was a really good idea. I love the concept of Sam Wilson being Captain America. It's something new. But apparently, some Marvel says, oh yeah, we can't have 2 Captain Americas. We can't have 2 Wolverine. That's the reason why Laura lost it as Wolverine. But yet, everybody is pointing out to Marvel, hey Marvel, you said it's not okay to have 2 Captain Americas, 2 Wolverines, but it is okay to have 2 Spider-Men and 2 Hawkeyes. Explain that to us. How is that okay and having 2 Captain Americas not okay? Yeah. Though, what happened with Sam after he stopped being Captain America? Well, they gave him a brief ongoing series that lasted 8 issues. And what has he done since that series wrapped up? Well, he's back to being a supporting character in Captain America. And a lot of people are like, I thought we got away from this nonsense. Why are we going backwards in his character? Because Marvel just doesn't care. No, they don't care about certain character development that basically several writers spent 3 or 4 years developing. We just throw that out away because we want to go. We just want to go backwards 10 years for no reason. All right, moving on, different book. This is Captain America by Ta-Nehisi, Volume 4, All Die Young. Love the Alex Ross cover. Yeah, this book, kind of in a way, this is kind of similar to the 5th volume for Remender's one for Captain America. It also ends at issue 25. Yep. Yeah. It starts with issue 20 and wraps up with issue number 25. Yep. The artwork, now there's about 3 different artists on here. Yep, 3 different artists. For issues 20 to 23, it's Bob Quinn. Daniel Quinn, issue 24, and Leonard Kirk, does issue number 25. And The Promise, which I think is a backup story, that's done by Anthony Falk and Michael Cho, who's also the artist on here. How's that story? All Die Young is basically kind of in the way something that the writer has been leading toward. Basically, Cap getting the name cleared up, killing General Ross because they find him, because his daughter is found him alive and well. Yes. Also, they actually undo something I think a lot of people didn't like this that they did. Having Sharon Carter turn old. So they have a fight over the course of these issues, fighting Selene. They beat her, thanks to, of course, Shar-Ray showing up. Yep, Shar-Ray show up here. Yep. Yeah, the big thing with the storyline is Cap versus Selene. Yep. Also, Crossbones is here. Yep, Crossbones is here, which is great. Yep. Also, Black Widow is here, because why not? So, here's Ross, alive and well in a bunker. Yep. Also, we have a subline here of Alexandra Lupin. Lukin. Yes, this is a character from Brubaker's run. The way that the writer of this book writes this book, it's almost like it's a spiritual successor to Ed Brubaker's run. It doesn't ignore anything that happened to Brubaker, like Remender and the X-Men. It doesn't ignore that, but it acts like a spiritual successor, basically doing awesome storytelling. Mm-hmm. Yep. Good amount of fighting, of course, with Selene. Red Skull is here. Well, in Lupin's head, because Red Skull's dead. Yep. I'm going to show you an attire of Shar-Ray. Yep, here's Shar-Ray. And you're probably thinking, wait, what the heck did you put on this attire? Well, you got to thank the actual spin-off ongoing series. Yeah, my guess is the reason why writer threw in here, because he writes her over in Black Panther, so why not? So, Sharon's like, screw this, I'm not going to be in the sidelines more. So, Selene is about to basically takes off her coat, shows how sexy she is. By the way, I should point out, though, she's no longer wearing the outfit she's known for wearing from the X-Men comics. She basically wears mostly black jumpsuit. We'll also show some skin here. Probably more conservative wear than basically walk around in underwear. And yeah, where she's about to suck out Steve Rogers' life force, and then Sharon Carter shows up with Shar-Ray. And she's wearing an Iron Patriot armor. Yep, where the heck she got this? Well, she probably was given this, so... She, of course, also spars for herself, and then, of course, Cap basically, after fighting Selene over the past couple issues, he finally beats her with Shar-Ray's help. Yep. And, of course, well... Then, of course, Selene tries to absorb Sharon Carter's life force, but turns her old, and it takes away her jewel around her neck, and then Shar uses the jewel on Sharon Carter, and making her smoking hot. Like, oh my gosh. She probably was thinking in her head, thank you, Shar-Ray, for doing this for me. And the very next she was all Daniel Kuna stuff, which I love Daniel Kuna's artwork. Then she, and at the Carter estate, then she basically spars with Steve. And yeah, this is basically a good sparring match. And of course she wins, and then she makes it with him, and then they have sex. I guess Steve's like, well, my girlfriend's hot again. Time to have sex. I'm sure he probably was thinking that. Yep. So, and of course, Alexandra talks with her husband, and then we have this aftermath of them doing it. And Sharon's like, ooh, yes. Oh, thank you, Steve. Make me so happy. That's what she's probably thinking. Yep. And of course, they have dinner. It's just great the fact that the writer writes them like this. Basically, making like very much a happy couple. Which always kind of begs the question, like, why doesn't Steve propose to her if he loves her so much? Yep. And we have 25 of a really big double-sized issue. Yep. And then apparently we show in the flashback that Selene took the life force of, well, it looked like she said she was Sharon Carter, but or somebody. And then of course, then we have it where Red Skull's beating up people. Yep. And of course, Cap jumps in. It's a big action-packed issue, which is really good. We also have a bit of flashback on well, Peggy, her recruitment of the Daughters of Liberty, and of course Cat fighting the Watchdog, which so it's basically like a big celebration of Captain America with this issue. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's absolute great story. Well, also the backups are The Promise. Mm-hmm. And of course, it ends with a cliffhanger where it looks like that Black Widow's fighting some blonde woman, might be Elaine, of course, she gets knocked off. Yep. I gotta say, this was really good. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I love the Promise story, which is so good. It's written and drawn by Anthony Falco and Marco Cho, which is really good. Mm-hmm. And I get this book roughly I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 because it's just damn good. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyable. I loved it. Yep. Yeah, and so far for 4 trades, this has been really, really good. Ta-Nehisi Coates basically has done a fantastic job with this book. I have heard that he's going to be ending his run soon on this book. I mean, he just ended his run on Black Panther, so it looks like, though, he's going to be ending his run on Captain America. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like that. Yeah. Let's see if I can find him here. Let's see. I don't think this is the end. Oh, excuse me. Well, this issue came out just last year, so Sharon Carter was old for 6 years. Yep, 6 years. Though this doesn't wrap up the All Die Young story arc. Yeah, this story arc is roughly 10 issues, so my guess is that the second half of this story arc will probably put in like the next volume for the series. Yeah, and the most recent trade that came out was actually 29. Yep, which came out in March. Yeah, for some reason this issue decided to skip a month. I'm not really sure why. It's interesting, though, that the writer basically brought him back. Mm-hmm. As the Power Elite, it's almost like they just don't really play a role in here. No, not really. Next week should be interesting, but in the case of the Power Elite themselves, like, let's see. Yeah, it's weird, though, the fact that for a book, they mostly appear in Captain America as recurring villains. And they mostly are background characters. Mm-hmm. Though, by the way, not the first time they actually have had Red Hulk die. Well, Thunderbolt Ross die. Yeah. But this book is really good. Can't wait for the next volume, though, which contains the second half of the storyline. Yep, so yeah. That's it for Single View, and there's probably going to be a video today because I don't have any more plans, any more videos today, but yeah. So, until this next video, bye.